Hello friends, welcome to this episode of Bharat Speaks. I am Dr. Bharat Kulkarni and I welcome you to this podcast. Friends, today we analyze the recently announced ceasefire between Iran and the United States. After 5 weeks of hostilities, finally there is some glimmer of hope. This is more than just a pause in the hostilities. It actually marks a tectonic shift in the global power dynamics. In this episode, we will try to peel the layers of that the mainstream media often overlooks, and we try to understand the true cost of the conflict and what it means for the future of the Middle East. So let's discuss about the war that ended. How did it end? For Iran, the victory was existence. If Iran existed, it has won the war. Iran has not only defended its territory, it has also demonstrated its reach to the entire world. Now, if you look at the regime change, objective of the US, it has horribly failed. Despite of weeks of the relentless strikes, the leadership in Tehran remains unshaken. There is no collapse, no coup, no internal uprising. Even the people have come more closer to the regime than they were ever before. Tehran is negotiating from a position of strength. The control over Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz still remains very tightly controlled by the Iranian regime. Tehran's ability to influence the global choke point, the world's global choke point for specifically for the energy trade, has survived the conflict. In spite of the huge conflict and huge effort put in by the US and the Israelis, Iran has still maintained the control over Strait of Hormuz. One of the most significant objective of the US to get into this war or conflict, whatever you call it, was to seize and destroy the enriched uranium that Iran supposedly had, which has failed. The material remains inside Iran, leaving the primary cause of global alarm still unresolved. So what is Washington looking for? Washington is looking for an off-ramp. They want to really get out of this conflict with some face saver. 5 weeks into the conflict, we see that Washington is more eager to the ceasefire than Tehran. Why is that happening? Why is the world's strongest military power keen to exist this conflict? First, depleted defenses. The scale of Iranian missile and the drone attack have really forced the US to expand its air defense inceptors like the THAAD and SM-3 at an unsustainable rate. They have been reportedly draining the reserves intended for the Pacific, making their vulnerabilities against China very open. Economic and asset damage, precise strike on the Jubail industrial city, and the high-value sensors like the E-3 Sentry AWACS system has really imposed tangible multi-billion-dollar cost to the United States for its regional presence. Now, Iran has put forward a 10-pointer plan, and the Pakistan has somehow played some role in it. The news was broken that Iran forced the US to accept a 10-point plan as a workable basis for peace. Now, this plan is very interesting. This plan includes the lifting of all primary and secondary sanctions, acceptance of Iran's uranium enrichment, the withdrawal of US combat forces from all the Middle East bases. Now, if you look at that, this is very, very significant. Most intriguing detail is Pakistan reportedly brokered this deal. Now, some intelligence suggests that Israeli elements were trying to eliminate the IRGC negotiators, but Pakistan got a wind of the plot and they rushed to Donald Trump to alert him. Trump intervened and prevented the total collapse of the diplomacy. And somehow that's how this deal was savaged. Now, this has put Pakistan into direct line of fire with Israel. US and Israel also are not getting together very clearly. Israel is so visible in its opposition to the ceasefire. Prime Minister Netanyahu wanted the US to keep Iran engaged, so as long as they provide cover for the Israeli to completely wipe out the Hezbollah from Lebanon, which has not happened. And that is why today, even after the ceasefire, Israelis continue their operations against Hezbollah, and they say Lebanon and Hezbollah is not included in this deal. By choosing an exit route to save its own economy, military stocks, Washington has actually exposed a significant strategic split with the Tel Aviv. Now let's talk about the rescue mission. Was it a rescue mission or a failed ground operation? That is a very, very interesting question that a lot of people are asking. There is much speculation regarding the F-15E, the Strike Eagle that was shot down and the pilot rescue that happened. Tehran claims that this was actually a botched covert ground operation intended to seize its uranium. The location of the crash was very close to its uranium site. Whether true or not, the subsequent firing of the US Army Chief, General Randy George, suggests that American command structure is reeling from the pressure and the operation failures. There is something is wrong in that. You don't fire your army chief in middle of the conflict. Now, what is the strategic conclusion? Who are the winners and losers? If you look at this entire sequence on a board strategic canvas, say on a strategy from a strategic point of view, the conclusion is very stark. In this round, Iran appears to have emerged as the winner. The United States has used its ceasefire to extract itself from a difficult position, and where it was rapidly draining its military and economic resources. Tehran, on the other hand, has come out very strongly. If America officially agrees to all the 10 points of Iranian plan, this will be devastating, as Iran will emerge as a recognized regional superpower. Now consider the reactions. If this thing happens, what happens to the regional players? For Israel, this is an existential crisis. If Tehran becoming the regional superpower is a direct challenge to Israel's existence. Accepting Iran as a nuclear-capable state and seeing the pressure lift from Hezbollah will be catastrophic failure of their national security doctrine. Israel will never let that happen. For Saudi Arabia, if you look at the biggest proxy war in the Middle East is between Saudi Arabia and Iran. While they desire the stability and stronger Iran, free from sanctions and controlling the Strait of Hormuz, is a geopolitical nightmare for Riyadh. The strike on the Jubail industrial complex proved just how fragile their economic backbone really is. In summary, the US has managed to get Iran off its back at this point, but then it may have done so at the cost of its allies. And this is something very significant. Long-term security of its allies is at stake. Is this a true peace or just a silence before a much larger storm? We don't know. We will come to know. I am Bharat Kulkarni. We will continue this discussion in the next episode of Bharat Speaks. Keep watching this podcast, and I'll come back to you with more information. Thank you. Jai Hind.